Solidified my fear, and my husband admitted to everything. I dropped my phone and just cried. Like, how many times had he left to go help her while I stayed at home pregnant? The amount of times he went to go visit her at lunch? And he even admitted that the baby that Tori was pregnant with was his. I ended up finding out that their relationship had been going on for 3 years, which was before she was even married to her husband and before Logan and I got together. And when we broke up, he ended up proposing to Tori with a much nicer ring. But ultimately, when she had the baby, he just abandoned that baby too. And to this day, he has not seen that baby and still refuses to see my son. I even tried to suggest a healthy co-parenting relationship between the 4 of us, and he couldn't even seem to do that. Tori and her husband ended up getting back together, and she's tried to reach out multiple times to apologize, but it just really doesn't make up for what she did.
So when I turned 13, I had a birthday party. It's no big deal. I mean, you know, I was just blossoming, turning into a woman. And so I remember my mom was like, no one's allowed in the rooms. Everyone needs to be outside. If you see anyone inside, you need to tell me. I was like, oh my God, Booma, you don't need to pop off. I get it, Booma, come on. I remember I saw 3 adults walk out of my room. I didn't tell my mom, but let me tell you why. Because I was like, maybe they're designing a gift for me. So the end of the day came, no surprise present came. I'm not mad. Are you mad? Because I'm happy. So we started cleaning up, and then we went to go clean my room in case. Oh, the best part is coming! There was a voodoo doll under my bed. You know, it looked exactly like me. I remember there was 1 needle on its left eye, another needle on its heart, and it was laying on like a ratchet green leaf. And then next to it, there was a note that said, this is all gonna be mine in cursive. So then my mom started doing research. After we found the voodoo doll, my mom did some research and we found out that someone was basically trying to do evil to me and harm me. Like, you know, I appreciate you counting me in. I personally, I don't want to be voodooed, but thank you. Thankfully though, we had some cameras in the house, so we were about to see who was behind this. This is the best part. We checked the cameras, and the 3 people that I saw walk out of my room, you know, they were strangers. My parents didn't invite them, they didn't know them. So what my dad did was he screenshotted the footage and then he posted it on Facebook and he was like, does anyone know who this is? So we ended up finding them, contacting them, whatever. And we found out they work for this company that does witch stuff. And you know, someone was paying them to do all of this witchery stuff on me. No, I'm fine. What about you? So we asked them, what is behind all of this? What magic are you trying to do? Who paid you? After my dad contacted the witches basically told him that it's better to not talk about this on the phone. They then told my dad that the only person they can release information to is me. Long story short, I had to meet the witches at an alley by myself. By myself. I pull up, I feel like a whole ass horse. I'm about to shit everywhere. So then I come across the witches and I remember they were looking straight at the ground. And I remember I was like, hi. And they were like, we cannot look you in the eyes because then the curse is gonna be ours. And I remember I started asking them questions like, you know, just the usual. Like, why'd you make a voodoo doll of me? They told me that the whole point behind this was for me to eventually turn crazy and be lonely forever. Bitch, I'm already crazy and needy as Unfortunately, they said they couldn't tell me who was behind all of this. I remember they told me how to break the curse though. They told me to put the voodoo doll in a wooden box and set it on fire. And they gave me this like nasty hot green juice, but apparently it killed the curse.
This is a story of the time that this girl wanted to fight me in school for no reason. So a little backstory, me and this girl were like really close friends for a few years, and then we started to fall out and then become friends again, and it was really on and off. So she was dating this kid about a year or 2 before this situation happened. And me and this kid knew each other, but we weren't like friends, we just had mutual friends, so sometimes we would hang out like in a group. During this time, me and the girl were on, so we had plans to hang out the same day. So I was walking to one of my classes when this girl that I barely talked to came up to me and was like, oh my God, did you hear, like, this girl wanted to fight you? And I just laughed because I was like, what? Like, she's my friend. She never said anything to me. Like, we were just talking last night. So I texted her and I said, so-and-so just told me that you wanted to fight me. What's going on? Like, why would she say that? Did you say anything? Are you mad at me? Blah, blah, blah. And she wasn't answering the phone. And she knew my entire schedule for school because we would meet up during class or whatever, but I'm leaving my lunch period and I turn around and I see her storming through people staring at me dead in the eye. This is part 2 of the girl that tried fighting me in school for no reason. So I'm walking out of my lunch period and I turn around and I see her storming through people just staring at me dead in the eye. And I was like, great, what the fuck now? Like, what now? Because part of the reason why I stopped being friends with her and it was so on and off is because it was always something. It was always drama. It was always arguments, like shit like that. So she finally catches up to me and she's like, you're a fucking whore. And I was like, what? Like, why am I a whore? And she was like, you're really going around talking to my fucking ex, like trying to date him and shit. Like, you really said that you wanted to hook up with him. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I was like, bitch, what the fuck are you talking about? Where are these receipts? Because I never fucking said that. So she pulls up her messages with her and her ex and she's like, look, see, he said it. See, he said it. And he was like, yeah, Mia was trying to get with me, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, pfft. All I can remember her saying was, bitch, I should fucking slap you right now. I should punch you in the face. And I was like, you know what? If we're really about to play this stupid ass shit, hit me then. Fucking hit me. I was literally tapping my cheek and everything. I was like, hit me then. This is part 3 of a girl trying to fight me in school for no reason. So there I am standing, tapping my face, being like, all right, hit me, please do. And mind you, the entire time, I knew that, like, this whole argument was bullshit and that it was really dumb and that she was going to regret doing this in front of everybody because she had no valid reason to even be getting mad at me in the first place. So I was really, really calm the entire time. I didn't stoop to her level. I didn't start shouting at her. I just stayed calm. So I was like, all right, you really believe your ex-boyfriend over me? Then, you know what? You want to fight? Let's go. Hit me. And it just kept going back and forth of her being like, oh, I wish I could hit you. And I'm like, so do it. And she's like, oh my God, I would punch you in the face. And I was like, so then do it. And then everybody else around us, like all the popular kids that came to watch this so-called fight, started like going to their next class because they were like, yeah, she's not doing shit. Then her friend dragged her away from me. And I texted the kid and I was like, yo, what the fuck is this shit? Why are you lying? Then he texted her and was like, yo, I was gassing it. That didn't actually happen. But I guess she was so embarrassed of the situation that she still stopped being my friend. Story of the time a police officer pulled me over just to flirt with me. So when I first got my license, I would always go to Wawa in the middle of the night. Usually I would pick up my friend and we would go together. But this night she was busy and I was hungry, so I just went by myself. So I pull up to Wawa and right after I got there, I see a police officer pull up. I didn't think anything of it. So I went inside, ordered my food, and while I was waiting in line to pay, I see the police officer walk in. He was probably in his late 20s, early 30s, really tall and muscular and had blonde hair and blue eyes. Just an overall attractive guy. Right when he walked in, we made eye contact. At the time, I was 17, so I wasn't thinking like, ooh, arrest me, officer. I'm just kidding. But whatever, I pay for my food, go to my car. Then the cop comes out a few minutes after me, and he looks at me while I'm getting in my car. And I was really hungry and not trying to wait to eat, so I watched YouTube on my phone and ate my food in my car. So I finished eating and started heading home. Mind you, there was nothing wrong with my car. I didn't have tints, all my lights were working, and all of a sudden I see cop lights behind my car. So I pull over, and it's lo and behold the cop from Wawa. Like for part 2? Story of the time a cop pulled me over just to flirt with me. Part 2. So he stared at me at Wawa, waited for me to leave, and when I left, he pulled me over. Like I said, there was nothing wrong with my car. Also, I was 17 and he was probably in his late 20s. And yeah, he was attractive, but I was 17 and not interested in a 20-something-year-old. So he walks over to my car, but he didn't come up to my window, he came up to my passenger seat window. Probably because the shoulder was really small and the cars were coming by fast on my side. But anyway, for the juicy part. So right off the bat, he was mad flirty. Like, you know how the way that somebody looks at you says a million words? Well, his eyes were saying 1,000,001. But anyway, he was like, do you know why I pulled you over? And I said, no, because I didn't. And he was like, what's a pretty little girl doing out so late without her boyfriend? First of all, little girl. Is that him implying that he knows I was a minor? Nah, I'm just kidding, but honestly, in the moment, I really didn't know why he pulled me over, so I just flirted back until he left. Story time of how I caught my grandma and my dad sleeping together. Yes, you heard me right, my dad was sleeping with my grandma. Sadly, I had to be the one to find this out and walk in on them doing the dirty, and it was probably the most traumatizing experience I've ever had. So basically, my dad told my mom that he had to start working late to get extra money, because at the time we weren't doing so good money-wise. So basically, a couple months go by, and my mom said he started acting really, really weird, and then asked me to keep an eye on him and see if he's, like, doing anything strange. So you know me, the best daughter in the world, kept an eye on him, and I didn't find much out. Until one day, after I came home from school, I got locked out of my house because I didn't have my key, and both of my parents were so called at work. So I told my mom, and she works an hour away, so she couldn't come get me. And so I just had a friend drop me off at my grandma's house. So I tried calling my grandma, but she didn't answer, so I decided I was just gonna go anyways. I go through the back door like I always do, and I wanted to sneak up on her and give her a hug. So I try to be as quiet as I can, and I walk in the room and see my grandma and my dad butt naked on the bed. I'm running out of time, late for part 2. Part 2 of how I found out that my dad was sleeping with my grandma. So continuing on with the story, I walk in on my dad and my grandma butt naked sleeping with each other. And by sleeping, you guys know what I mean. Oh, did I forget to mention that that's also my dad's mom? So I caught my dad sleeping with his mom. Mind you, my grandma's like 55 and my dad is 32. I mean, I guess it's not that big of an age gap. So back to the story, my first reaction was to take out my phone and start filming it. And my dad and grandma did not like that. But I just kept filming. My exact words were, I need receipts. By this time, they're both under the blanket trying to get dressed. Without me seeing their wings and hoo-has and titty-tas. At this moment, I was like, wait, I could be having the dream life right now. I could blackmail these two into anything at this moment. Then I was like, nah, I love my mom a little more than that. So I started thinking for a second about what I wanted to do. Then I book it out the house and send the videos to my mom. They did get a divorce. My dad lives with my grandma, and I do occasionally see him, but I live with my mom.
Story time about the girl who was absolutely obsessed with me in high school. So it was my junior year in high school, and I'm just gonna tell you guys the first story of how I knew that she was absolutely obsessed with me and wanted to be me. Well, I had been dating this guy for like a month, and I sent him nudes. Well, my nudes got spread around the school. And everybody knew they were mine until this one girl, and we're gonna call her Addie, started saying that they were hers. I guess one of my friends was talking about it in class and they were like, OMG, did you hear that her nudes got leaked? AKA mine. And Addie was sitting at the same table and she said, no, those are my nudes. And at first I thought this girl was just trying to be nice. I was like, oh, well, that's nice of her, you know. Like, maybe she's just trying to say that so that way nobody will bully me, I guess. Well, the one day I texted her about it. And I was like, hey, like, you don't have to do that. It's fine. I'll take responsibility for it. I did it. And she was like, what are you talking about? Those are my nudes. Like for part two. Part two about the girl who was obsessed with me. So like I said, she basically told me that those were her nudes, even though I took the pictures and I knew they were mine. But I was like, okay, whatever. I'm not going to argue with her. Well, then I get a text from my boyfriend. And he goes, what the fuck? You're so weird. Why would you send me somebody else's nudes? And I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck? And I tried to explain to him that I had no fucking clue why this girl was saying they were hers. But then he said that it was weird as fuck and he broke up with me. So like a week later, I see them walking around school together. And my friends tell me that they're now dating. And I really wasn't that mad about it. I was like, okay, maybe that's the only way that she could think of to get a boyfriend. Well, I forgot that my Instagram was logged in on his phone because he had super bad trust issues and wanted to make sure I wasn't cheating on him. So I text him and I'm like, hey, can you take my Instagram off your phone? And I saw that he read my text message, but I got no response. Well, a week later, you guys are never gonna guess what fucking happened. Like for part three. Part three about the girl who was obsessed with me. So like I said, I texted him and I got no response back. So I run into him the next day at school. And I'm like, hey, did you get my text? And he's like, text about what? And I was like, taking my Instagram off your phone? And he was like, oh yeah, Addie did it, don't worry. And I didn't think anything of it because, you know, I'm like, oh well, she's done torturing me. Well, I was very wrong. So in my first period, I went to go sit with my group of friends, because all three of us had that class together. And when I walk in, I realized that Addie is sitting in my seat. So I pull up a chair to the table, and they were all ignoring me and texting each other right next to me. So I was like, okay, what's wrong? And one of my friends goes, oh, nothing, just the fact that you DM'd Gigi and I's boyfriends, saying that we were whores and that they should date you. By the way, Gigi was my other friend. And after that, this bitch Addie has the nerve to make the comment, that's really fucked up. Why would you do that? So then I beat her ass and lost all my story time about how I got catfished and almost kidnapped. So because I just turned 18, I thought about signing up for a few dating apps. So I did. I matched with this really cute guy named Chris. And we chatted on the app for like 3 weeks back and forth. I would ask him to FaceTime, but he would always make up some lame excuse. Yes, ladies, there's a video dating app coming out soon. So no more lame excuses for sus boys. Anyways, so finally after asking him a bunch of times to hang out, we finally made plans to meet up for dinner. He gave me the address to the place and it was like 20 minutes from where I lived. And he told me that he was going to be wearing a baseball cap and I told him that I was going to be wearing a white shirt and green jeans. So I took an Uber and got there at like 6 o'clock. But when I got in there, I didn't see anybody with a baseball cap on. While I'm looking around, all of a sudden somebody taps me on the shoulder. So I turn around and it's this older guy wearing a baseball cap. And he goes, oh, hi, I'm Chris. So I'm definitely feeling super sus at this point. But I'm too fucking nice to be like, ooh, get the fuck away from me. So I figured I might as well get a free meal out of this. So we sat down to eat like for part two. Okay, part two of how I got catfished and almost kidnapped.
So we get seated, we ordered our food, and I start talking to him. You know, I was just trying to be nice and finish my meal, but it was literally so creepy. The whole time he's like, wow, you're so beautiful. How are you still single? Yada, yada, yada. I honestly just wanted to eat and leave so bad. So here I am texting my friend that I just got fucking catfished. And while I was going in and out of my purse, I dropped my phone on the floor. And I know you're probably thinking, oh, why the hell is she telling us that part about the phone? Well, because I'm pretty sure that he put something in my drink. No, like he 100% put something in my fucking drink. So I hurry up and eat my food and drink my drink because I just wanted to get the hell out of there. And my drink tasted totally fine, like there was no bitterness or anything. So while he was getting the check, I went to the bathroom to call my friend. And as soon as I get into the bathroom, I start feeling so off. And no, it was not my anxiety from sus Chris. I also felt like I was gonna throw up. And my friend wasn't picking up at all. So I tried sharing my location with her, which I usually never do.
This is why I don't online date. When this happened, I was probably 9 at the time, and I met a guy on Roblox. He was pretty nice, and I liked playing with him, so I friended him, and we played together every once in a while. About 2 months after we became friends, I was playing a game on Roblox, and he joined me. We said hi to each other and started playing together like we normally did. He then asked if I wanted to be his girlfriend, and I said I don't online date, and I wasn't comfortable with doing it. He then said, do it or else. I asked him or else what. He said he would do something. I asked him again what he would do. He said he was gonna come to my house. I didn't think that he would. I thought he was just trying to scare me. I asked him how he would do that, and he said he knew my address, and I was starting to get pretty scared at this point. I immediately left the game and I unfriended him. A few days later, I was playing Roblox and I somehow saw him in my game. He walked up to me and... Part 2. He walked up to me and I told him to go away, but he said in all caps, be my girlfriend. I said in all caps, no, and leave me alone. I thought he would leave me alone, so I walked away, and he just followed me and said, be my girlfriend or else I will come to your house. I left the game and blocked him, and I started to think he was not a child. About a month later, I had forgot about it, and nothing had happened, just the usual going to school. A few days later, a guy texted me saying, I'm coming to your house. You have to be my girlfriend. I was terrified, so I immediately blocked the number. The next day, we got a knock on the door, and I forgot about the message, and my mom answered the door. It was probably a 50-year-old man, and my mom asked what he needed. He said that he wanted to see me, and my mom asked if I knew him, and I said no. He then yelled at me saying, you must be my girlfriend. I yelled no, and he went to grab me. I screamed as loud as I could and ran back into the house. My mom yelled at him, and Part 3. And my mom called the police on him. He didn't do anything and stood there being weird, saying over and over, you must be my girlfriend, I am lonely. The police arrived and asked the man what the problem is. My mom yelled that the man tried to grab me because I didn't want to be his girlfriend. The police took him and we haven't heard about him ever since.
So I literally thought people were joking when they were talking about stepsisters getting with their stepbrothers. Turns out it's not a joke, and I just found out that my boyfriend cheated on me with his stepsister. When I was a freshman in high school, I got into a lot of trouble and ended up getting my phone taken away for 6 months and had no social media for a year. My parents literally didn't allow me to have Snapchat until the summer before my senior year. But I was allowed to have an Instagram, so the moment that I was allowed to have my socials back, I made an update on my story. And within a few hours, a boy that I had been talking to before I got my phone taken away swiped up. We started messaging, talking again, hitting it off all over again. And even though he lived about 2.5 hours away, within a week we started dating. I actually had a few other friends that were dating guys in the same town, so I was like, if they can, so can I. After dating him for a few months, I decided to invite him over to my dad so that they could meet. Both my dad and him hit it right off the bat. Chef's kiss. Also, we can call this guy Darren. I noticed that he was super weird with his phone and he would put it in his pocket anytime I was near. I asked him what that was about and he was like, well, I just don't want to be on my phone. It seems rude. It seemed like a logical response, so I brushed it off. But the next day, a girl messaged me saying that she was dating Darren. So my boyfriend ended up cheating on me with his stepsister. And also other girls as well. So once this first girl reached out to me and said that she had been dating Darren, I blew up in his face. She explained to me that they had been dating for a few weeks, so I ended up breaking up with him. But then he was blowing up my phone and threatening to unalive himself, so I got extremely worried. And I ended up just giving in to getting back together with him. And once I got back together with him, things were pretty much a smooth ride for 6 months. It didn't seem like he was talking to any other girls, and he would come to my mom's house on one weekend and then my dad's house on the other weekend. So we were seeing each other every weekend. And it was so nice until I got a message from a different girl who also claimed that they had been dating. So again, I blew up in his face and I broke up with him. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And once again, the manipulator in him made a reappearance and he blew up my phone just crying, saying that he was going to end his life, and again, getting me to fall for his stupid tricks. This time I decided to go about it a different way and get all the social media passwords. I would log in and check periodically, but if you guys remember, I did not have a Snapchat. So the day that my parents allowed me to have one, I went ahead and logged into his. Storytime about my boyfriend cheating on me with his stepsister and other women. So once I was allowed to have Snapchat and logged into his account, I saw him messaging multiple other girls, including his stepsister. And when I tell you guys I scrolled up on these messages and found out that he had been sleeping with her too, this had been going on for 2.5 years before he finally called things off with me and broke up with me. We met up to exchange things and I gave him all of his stuff back, but he didn't give me any of my stuff back because he forgot. And he tried to give me his own stuff back, saying that we were on a break and would get back together. Because I called things off with him, he ended up throwing all of my stuff like my clothes, jewelry, Beats headphones in a fire pit and burned them. As if he was the victim. Like, what did I do to you? You were the one sleeping with your stepsister our entire relationship. After about 3 months, he showed up with a new girlfriend on his Instagram. And she ended up messaging me asking why he still had pictures of me all over his room and why my necklace with my name on it was hanging in his truck.
Story of the time my friend made me lie to my parents. So I was either 15 or 16, and it was one of the first time that I tried. So we did a lot of that, and then we went back to her house. I started